Present for us, it's an incredibly dramatic parsha on so many different levels and in so many different places. You've got this Yehuda and Yosef confrontation. Then you have Yosef with Binyamin, highly emotional, emotionally charged moments, incredible spirituality. You have Yosef coming back to Yaakov, and I should say Yaakov coming back to Yosef, and that incredible connection, that incredible moment where the two of them reunite after 22 years of being separated. And I just want to repeat a famous verse that Avrohom Stulberger explains in this Rashi, which is so powerful and so important. And now literally, if we start thinking this way and adopting this particular approach to life, it will change almost everything about the way we look at the world. Because as you know, Yaakov meets up with Yosef after all these years, and I'm not going to focus right now, but we know that Rashi says that Yosef fell on Yaakov's shoulders, but he infers that Yaakov did not fall on Yosef's shoulders. So there's a famous pshat, why did Yaakov not fall on Yosef's shoulders? And Rashi says, because he was saying Shema. I'm not going to focus on that Rashi, although there's a lot to be said about that particular issue as well. What exactly was the nature of this Kriyat Shema that Yaakov said as Yosef is so emotionally crying on his shoulders? Why was Yaakov saying Kriyat Shema? That represents certainly an important message in its own right. But let's focus on Yosef for a moment. Vayesa Yosef merkafta v'yalikras Yisrael aviv gosha vayera elav vayipal al tzivaro. Yosef gets his chariot ready. He goes to meet his father Yisrael in Goshen. Vayera elav vayipal al tzivaro. Vayef al tzivaro od. He appears to him and he falls on his shoulders. And Rabbi said, you have Chumash classes, you know that when Rashi says something, you analyze this every single day. The Rashi's points are very succinct. And he doesn't just say things for the sake of filling up space with ink. He wasn't paid by the word. So when you look at Rashi, Vayera elav Yosef nira elaviv. Vayera elav Yosef nira elaviv. It's a wonderful question for the Shabbos table. Why would Rashi, you can get out the Chumash, it'll be a wonderful thing. You got out the Chumash and you brought it to the table and you showed your family, and you discussed with your family. Let's see if we can figure out Pshat in this Rashi. Okay, Rabbi Stulberger quoted something this morning. Let's see if we can come up with another idea. It's a great thing, a great way to sort of add some spirituality to the table before we run to the couch and do who knows what. So says Rashi, Yosef nira elaviv. Yosef appears to his father. What's Rashi saying? What's Rashi adding with these words of Yosef nira elaviv? Isn't it obvious that Yosef nira elaviv, it says Vayera elav? And it's very clear from the pasuk that it was Yosef appearing to his father. So what exactly is the message here that Rashi is adding by saying Yosef nira elaviv, Yosef appeared to his father? I know it was Yosef appeared to his father. What's the additional point of what Rashi is saying here? Says Avrohom Stulberger, it's an incredible idea. It's an idea, Rabbi said, that literally almost every single day we can use this idea and think about this idea and capitalize on this idea. And it literally would change the nature of our existence and the nature of our lives and the spiritual way that we conduct ourselves. Because says Avrohom Stulberger, and try to picture this moment. And again, we have so many different visuals in our minds. We've seen enough scenes from different shows and different movies that, you can always picture this emotional reunion that's going to take place. You can imagine the violins playing in the background. Yosef is getting ready to meet his father. The anticipation, the excitement, and the typical emotions of what would be when a son sees his father for the first time in 22 years. If you think about what is he thinking about, what's he feeling at this particular point? And the logic, we're not going to open it up to a discussion right now, but I'm sure most of you would say, well, what do you mean? I want to see my father. I've not seen my father for 22 years. You talk about an emotional reunion, right? I'm sure you've all been at airports over the course of your years, and you've seen people waiting, especially at the international terminal. You're waiting to see who's going to open up the door next, and there's going to be. I'm waiting for this grandchild or this grandparent. I haven't seen them in such a long time, and you see when they walk through the long tunnel and they get to the outside. Oh my gosh! And all the emotions and the screams and the cries and the tears and the joy. It's all beautiful. But Rabbi said the natural emotion that one feels during this time is, I'm dying to see what it is that I'm waiting for, this incredible person, that my relative or my friend or whatever it might be. I want to see them. Says Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, when you have a moment like this, when you have a moment of inspiration, a moment of excitement, a moment which is naturally gravitating towards the idea that I want this to happen because I want to see them, isn't that wasting an incredible opportunity? You have this feeling that I want to see my father. That's great. But it could be so much deeper, he explains. It could be so much more meaningful. All you have to do, and Rashi is saying that what Yosef did is he took a moment, which we have, maybe not as dramatic as this, but we have it very, very often in terms of different situations that come up on a regular basis. And instead of making it naturally about me, about what I want, about what I feel I'm going to get out of this situation. I mean, think about a guy playing on the basketball court, and we all hope we can cheer the team on tomorrow night at Jeff Bell. And it typically, you're playing on the court, and you're putting everything in there, and it's a clutch point of the game. Naturally, the guy hits, you're down by 2, it's 8 seconds. Let's get it really dramatic. You're down by 2 points, 8 seconds to go. There's a play that the coach draws up just for you. And the clock's winding down. 3, 2, 1. You heave the ball up in the air, 28-footer for the win. Swish. Fantastic. What is going through that person's mind? The typical point guard who hits that shot, who wins the game. He's thinking, I did it. I did it. I have this dramatic moment. I won. I hit the shot. It's a three-pointer, it's a buzzer beater, and all these emotions of I was able to do this, and I feel so good about myself. But you know what? You can just change that emotion, just one drop, and turn it into something so much more meaningful. How about saying, maybe, I don't think it's too hard. I mean, it's hard maybe at the moment because you're so overwhelmed with your personal involvement of hitting that shot and being the hero of the game. What about just thinking for a second? It's amazing. I had my relatives in the stands. What nachas did I just give them? What a moment for them. What an exciting thing that I could bring them this joy. That they came to a basketball game and I actually gave them the nachas of being the guy who hit the winning shot with no time on the clock. Wow, I'm so happy that I was able to give them this nachas. Now, I don't know, we can discuss it another time whether that's too much to think about. That's too much of an expectation of a typical kid at that moment. Maybe, I don't know. But you have to grant me this, guys. If a person could get to that emotion, you can take that excitement, which is so centrally focused and right now goes nowhere. Because all you feel is self-adulation. All you feel is this excitement that I did it, I'm a hero, I'm great, I'm going to talk me. If you can make it about somebody else for a second, and transfer all that emotion to the feeling that your mother or your father or your brother or your relative or your grandparents are in the stands and their joy and you look up to them and you see the excitement in their face and you give them a wink or a thumbs up and say, yeah, like I did it for you, or aren't you happy, or isn't this a great moment? How different of a moment would that be? It would be transformative. It would take something that's completely mundane, as exciting as a basketball game is, and you know that I get into it myself, but you know, at the end of the day, it's a basketball game. That's what it is. It's a bouncing ball trying to be thrown into a basket shkoyach. Okay, you get it. It's great if you get it. If you don't, you go home, you lose, and you pack it in. It's so much deeper now. Now you've taken something that's out of your realm on a selfish level, and you've elevated it to something literally transformative. Says Rashi to us, and Rashi demands that we listen to this, because this is, again, critical. How sad would it be to just sort of sleep through a vort like this? Says Rabbi Chaim Shmulevitz, that's what Yosef did. Yosef recognized that for 22 years I have not seen my father, and it will be natural for me to say, I want to see my daddy. I want to hug Yaakov. I want to see him and I want to connect him. That's a natural feeling, Rabbi Say. Says Rashi, says the pasuk in the Torah, and Rashi explains it. The Yosef, Vayera Elav, Yosef Nira Elaviv. Yosef appears to his father and he says, and to himself, to his dad, his emotions were, Yosef Nira Elaviv. It was not Yosef wanting to see his father. It was Yosef saying to his father, I want you to see me. I want you to shep my nachas. I want you to be able to see that I've done something for you and I've accomplished something in this world that will give you nachas. I did become a king in Egypt. I did become somebody important. This dream, this vision that I had years ago that I brought to you, that caused all of these sorrows, all of these problems and aggravations for you, but this was a divine decree, this was a prophecy that indeed needed to happen. I want you to see that. I don't want to make this moment about me. I want to make it about you. And this is that concept that we spoke about again and again with the Yaakov Avinu working for Rachel. Again, there are two different types of people in this world. And they very much go together. There are happy people and unhappy people. And there are givers and there are takers. And the happy people coincide and correlate to the givers, and the unhappy ones are the takers. And something as simple as this, something as simple as a Friday afternoon, when maybe there's a little bit of pressure in the house. And if you take away your focus of what I need to do, I need this, and I have to go here, and I have to go there, and it's all about me getting ready for what I need, whatever the situation might be. And if you can somehow get yourself out of that particular mode and make it Yosef Nira Laviv, Tati, I want you to see me. I want you to get the nachas. How many of us, I'm not saying it's easy, but how many of us take that pressure time when our parents are running around or whatever else is going on to get ready for Shabbos to say, you know what, maybe I'll put my needs on the back burners. What do you need? Let's make this about somebody else. How painful it is when I hear from certain parents how the language or the type of discussion that can take place and the kind of statements that a child can make to a parent. I read from an article, I think a couple of years ago, about a doctor who recognized, my gosh, we're in a different generation. When I could be sitting in the doctor's office, he says, he wrote this article, I'm sitting there and I'm talking to this 9-year-old kid with his mother. And if the kid could just turn around and say, I don't want to use those words. I always say shut down. But you imagine, if you don't say shut down, you say it the other way. And you say it to your mother and say, you're so... like he said, I recognize I'm in a new world now. This is what a kid can say in front of a doctor talking to his mother. Or they're asking medical questions. And Mom, you're so... I'm like, what is going on here? And to think that our own generation of kids... And we have such an obligation for reverence, for kavod, for sensitivity. And we turn it around and we make it all about how much I can demand from my parents, how much I can dictate to my parents. How many no's can I say in one day? When it should be about, it shouldn't even be the yes, it should be what can I do? What can I do to help? How can I make this not about me? I would say these are moments every single day. On the basketball court too, and in the classroom. Yes, it's a competitive world. We want to get the best GPA. We want to get everything, we want to move ahead and get ahead. But you know what? What would it mean if somebody actually said, you know what? If I don't do this, I might get moved down from a 98 to a 95. And even though it goes against all my principles, maybe I'll actually take a few seconds to help somebody else out. Maybe I know I want to score and I want to get but you know what? Maybe I'll pass the ball. The guy's wide open. He hasn't hit a 3 in about a month and a half. But you know what? Maybe I'll send that ball out to the 3-point line and let this guy who almost never ever gets a shot in. He's wide open. He's waiting for the pass. I'm sort of double teamed. Yes, I'm much better than him. But you know what? I'll give him the shot. I mean, these are things that happen all the time in life. They're always there. They're always there for us. Boys, I'm telling you, if you are able to get into this mode of thinking about other people and doing for others and changing it about from me to somebody else, it's transformative. Because that makes the act pure. It makes it unadulterated. And we mentioned many times, when you do things from purity, when you do things from selflessness, when you do things from the bottom of your heart for the pure reason of just trying to help somebody else. I mean, davening is one of those experiences. It's not exactly the same, but I'm going to transition a little bit to the power of tefillah. Because that's also rooted in purity. When you pray from purity, when you don't make it about me, but when you're praying, especially when you're praying for somebody else. Because when you think about it, why is davening always b'lashon rabim? Everything is pluralized in tefillah. Because it really should not be only about what I need and what I want, it's what Klal Yisrael needs. And certainly when you want to share something with somebody, and you go over to somebody and you say, I know you're middle of davening, but I know you're middle of Shemon Esrei, but I have to tell you something. Let's just think about that scenario. A guy's davening Shemon Esrei, and you go over to the guy while he's davening Shemon Esrei, and I got to tell you something. I know you're davening, but I got to tell you something. I mean, just focus on all the eyes and all of the contrasts of what this guy's doing. He's praying, maybe for himself, maybe for Klal Yisrael. But somebody else says, but I need to tell you something, so I'm going to take my need, and I'm going to step on your need, and on Klal Yisrael needs, whatever power of tefillah you are able to muster in this particular moment in time, my need comes first. What does that say? You see, a lot of times, everybody said, look around the davening. It's amazing how we have no qualms of talking to a kid while he's davening, while he's saying Shemon Esrei. Well, I know doesn't have kavanah, Rabbi, of course. So even he's just standing there shaking away, but I know he's not really thinking about anything, so I might as well just talk to him. No. I heard this incredible story yesterday. I get all these different sites. I'm not sure how they get my name, but I get all these different sites from these Torah sites. So I wish I would have time to listen to every single one. I don't, but this one was titled "Amazing Story About a Couple." So when you have that as a heading and the story is under 10 minutes, you know what? The last night I pressed it and I heard the story. The attack is an amazing story. One that really would require not to have a conversation, but to actually be paying attention. Because when you talk, trust me, I hear it. Not the words, but I hear the noise. It goes right in there. It's really like a little bee buzzing in your ears. The story is about a couple that did not have children for 15 years. This particular couple decided, this is a recent story, definitely it happened within the last 50 years of Klal Yisrael, in the last 50 years of our history. Don't know exactly when, but this couple did not have children for 15 years. And we know halachically, when you don't have children for a long time, there are different questions. Should you stay married? Should you not stay married? You have a right to get divorced. It's very agonizing because these two people clearly loved each other and they did not want to get divorced, but they realized, you know what? You have a right to have a child. I have a right to have a child. It's not working for us. Let's part. And with much pain, this man gave his wife a divorce. And 1 month later, after giving her that get, after 15 years of a beautiful marriage, with the deep love they had for one another, he finds out that his wife is pregnant. And you'd imagine it's cause for tremendous joy. There's no need for us to say divorce now. Okay, I guess maybe they didn't have the ability to test immediately, whatever, and it was too early to really assume there was any pregnancy. But sure enough, after a month, there was only one problem in the story. He was a Kohen. He was a Kohen, and the halacha is, as you well know, that a Kohen cannot remarry his wife after giving her a divorce. And this man was so distraught. And what do you do when you have a halachic question like this? You have a wife, you gave her a get. You gave her a get because you didn't have any children. You now see that you're about to have a child in 8 more months, or whatever, 7 more months, you're going to have a child. What can I do? Said he ran to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, the Gadol Adoram B'nai Brak. And they went to him and they said, Rebbe, this is what happened. Can you please give us an eight? So what can we do? Chaim Kanievsky said, I can't help you. The halach is clear. A marzu gushasa does not work for a Kohen. You can't take your wife back once you give her a divorce. But go speak to my shver. Go speak to my father-in-law, the famed Gadol Hador B'Yoshav, the great posek in Yerushalayim, who also passed away in the last decade or so, and he went to Rabbi Yoshev, the posek Hador. Rabbi Yoshev listens to his story, gut-wrenching, the tears are flowing from his face. I love my wife, we're having a baby. Can we not stay together? What can we do? Can we not stay together? Rabbi Yoshev says, and again, there's a lot of elements to this story that are important, but just even fundamentally, the fact that when you have an issue and you have a problem, that you go to the Gadol Hador, that's a very fundamental message in its own right. But Rabbi Yoshev, with much pain and heartfelt emotion, he says, listen, it's a gezerah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The halacha is clear. A marzu gushaso by Kohen is not allowed, so I cannot help you. Except the halacha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, b'leiv sholem, but go to the kotel. But go to the kotel. Pray at the kotel. Strange thing to say. Pray at the kotel. What am I praying for? It's clear. It's clear. Pray at the kotel. Go to the kotel and pray. So Gadol Hador tells you to pray. Go to the kotel. He tells you, I can't help you. The halacha is clear. You think there's nothing else to do. So, what's he saying? But he says to go to the kotel and pray, and that's what he did. He went to the kotel and he started praying. And there was such emotion. There were such tears. He literally was crying so loud that people were almost uncomfortable with the level of emotion of what this person at the kotel was sharing with God. And everyone just stood aside and just let him pour out his heart. Didn't know what the problem is, didn't know what the issue was. And all of a sudden, after basically, 15, 20 minutes, half hour, I don't know how long he was there, he was literally crying, literally loud, where it was visible from a far distance. There was a tap on his shoulders. And a young rabbinic fellow, probably in his early 30s, turns around and he looks at him and he says, it can't be that bad. What is the problem? What can I do? Maybe I see the pain. I see the emotion on your face. I see that there's something deeply wrong in your life. What can I do? Can I help? What's the issue? What's the problem? Maybe I could do something. And he says to him, he appreciates that he is concerned. He says to him, this is my story. He tells him exactly what happened. And he says, do you have a father that's alive? Where's your father? He says, my father is in America. Seems to be really, at this point, really almost not functional. He's suffering from some kind of Alzheimer's or dementia, and he's really not that well, but he's living in America. He says, you have to see your father. You have to go to your father. Go to my father. I have no money. I'm a poor Haredi guy without any means. And yet he says, you have to see your father. Go to your father. Gets the money together, goes to his father, finds his father. He's in some nursing home somewhere in New York. Goes over to his father, and everyone tells him, well, it's nice that you're visiting your father, but if you expect to have a conversation with him, it's not going to happen. He hasn't been clear in months. And unfortunately, it's nice that you're here, but if you want to have a dialogue, it's not possible. But he sits there and he goes into his father's room and he holds his hands and he tells him what's going on in his life. And he tells him, and apparently there are other people there as well, and he tells him, Tati, this is my situation. This is what happened to me. I love my wife and she's expecting, and on one hand we're so excited that we're going to have a baby, but we're not married. I can't take her back because I'm a Kohen. And much of the shock of this son and to everybody who was there, the father looked at him very, very clearly and said clear words that he hadn't said in months. And he says, you are not a Kohen. I adopted you after the war. You were an orphan. I adopted you, and you're not a Kohen. And with those words, it became quite clear. I don't know any other further investigation that they did, whatever they did. Indeed, it was determined that he was adopted, that he wasn't a Kohen. He was able to remarry his wife. It's an incredible story, Rabbi, you say, but one that I think, let's just stop for a moment. Let's just see this series of events that led him to that moment of seeing his father. Tefillah was an integral part of that story. He was at the Kosel. He was completely pouring his heart out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not to say every time you pour your heart out, you're going to get the answer you want. But every time you pour your heart out, you're going to get answered. There's going to be a response. You might not always know how and when that response works out. But there is a positive response to pure tefillos. In this case, it was immediate. In this case, it was a man, again, what was he doing? He was selfless. He decided we all would be uncomfortable going over to a guy who was crying for a half hour. We would probably go into our little corner and find another place to hide. But he decided to push himself to do something that maybe wasn't so easy for him. What can I do? What's your pain? What's your problem? Why is this happening? Why are you so sad? And who was the mover and shaker of this story? The Gadol Hador. Why he said those words, go to the Kotel? I'm just going to give you the simple version. I'm not going to say that he had a prophecy. I'm not going to say that he has Ruach HaKodesh. I'm not going to go that far. I'll just say something very simple and very profound that even I can say, and I don't touch Rabbi Yosef not by 1,000 miles. When you go to the Kotel and you pour your heart out, which he knew he was going to do, something good is going to happen. If there's ever a place which can give you this chus to find out an answer to an unanswerable problem, one that literally has no solution because halacha is as clear as day. So how in the world can you change the halacha? I don't know. But when you pour out your heart to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the best place to do that is at the Kosel Maravi, then something good is going to happen. That's what Rabbi Yosef understood. So on so many levels, Rabbi, so you see that when you act purely, when you are able to become selfless, when you're able to pour your heart out, when you're able to think not about yourself necessarily, but others, when you have the respect for somebody's davening, to understand what that tefillah could mean, what it can do for Klal Yisrael. Our job is to sort of take those messages and take those lessons and recognize if we can become selfless a little bit. If we can take that moment when we're home on a Friday afternoon and it's in a couple hours, everybody say, I know maybe we haven't done it in a long time, but maybe our parents are going to be shocked. What? You're asking me, is there anything you can do and it's an hour before Shabbos, you're offering to help? What happened to you? Fall off your bed or something? What happened? Yeah, no, I feel like being nice. What can I do? Everybody said that's transformative. That's not a small act. That is not a small act. It's an act that can change the world and definitely change your world, without question. So we can sort of get out of the doldrums that are sort of being in this type of world that we live in, very self-centered, very egocentric, very much, it's all about numero uno. It's about my contract and my fame and my glory and my prominence, everything about me, and get out of that mindset to learn a Torah perspective of Yosef Nira Lover, Rabbi Yisai, will be able to sanctify our actions, make it true, make it real, make it important. That's Chus Bizocha to be a Mashiach Meher B'Meir.